welcome back. I'm Pat, that Halloween movie collector, and we're back with another What If, and this time we're doing What If for Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers from 1988. This movie was a big one for me because you figure 1988, I was 82, 72, 10, I was 16, and I couldn't wait to see this. It was great that they were finally bringing him back because you figure the last Halloween movie had been in 82, which was the last What If I did for Halloween 3. Go check it out. Drop a link here. That was a lot of fun. So, and on top of it, albeit I do like Halloween 3, I like the anthology aspect of things like that, but bringing Myers back was a big deal, and I was super stoked to see this. And this was great because Donald Pleasance was in it, and I mean, albeit, yeah, you didn't have Jamie Lee Curtis come back, but she said she wasn't going to come back at that specific time, but it was still a great entry in the franchise. We love one of our great final girls in Rachel Carruthers, the great Ellie Cornell, and of course Danielle Harris as young Jamie Lloyd. Just great, and in this performance as a 9-year-old kid. I mean, just knocked it out of the park. She was great. So there's all different scenes. So if you haven't watched one of the What Ifs, what we do in this is we say, what if this didn't happen? What if it happened differently? How would the movie have turned out? So I usually pick 10, and I've got 10 for Halloween 4. So let's do this. So my number 1. Now, at the beginning of the movie, their vehicle to get Myers to escape is they're going to transfer him from Ridgemont Federal Sanitarium to a different location, to Smith's Grove, actually. He's going to go back to Smith's Grove, which Loomis is against because Ridgemont is a maximum security prison. Long story short, Smith's Grove does not have the security, as we've seen from the original movie. So what happens? We go there, and you meet Dr. Hoffman, and he's there with the ambulance transfer people, and they ask, "Where's Dr. Loomis?" And they said, "Well, if Loomis read memos, he'd be here." So he was not there. What if Loomis was there? What if Loomis came to the transfer that night? Would he have been able to stop them from transferring Michael? Would have he intervened and stood in the way and said, "No, leave it alone. Don't touch it. Don't move it"? Because we just did the Halloween novelization, and it said that Loomis was there a lot, and there were times where he would just sit there and stare at Myers because he was just waiting for him to do something. But I mean, obviously the novelization is different than the book, than the movie rather. But what if Loomis had shown up? How would that breakout have turned out? Would he have gotten on the ambulance with them on the way to Smith's Grove, or followed the ambulance, and how it would have played out? My number 2. Okay, so now you'll learn that Laurie Strode and her husband have since died in a car accident, and now their daughter, Jamie Lloyd, is an orphan, much like those little bastard kids were breaking her balls at school, calling her Jamie's an orphan, little sons of bitches. And she gets fostered by the Carruthers family. Now, it's never made clear how they're related, why they would have fostered it. You do hear Rachel mention to Jamie later on that your mother used to babysit me, so I guess they had a good relationship with her, and maybe the family had a good relationship with Laurie Strode, and that's maybe why they took her daughter in when both of her parents were killed. Because you would think it would probably just go to another family member. I mean, albeit they do say she's the surviving family member, but we don't know what happened to Laurie Strode's parents. Did she have cousins, any type of relatives? But what if Jamie Lloyd was fostered by a different family, not the Carruthers family? What if she went into Child Protective Services? How would that have played out? Because Myers is still hearing at Ridgemont that he does have a survivor. One family member left, too young to be his legal ward, and that's what triggers him. What if she was in an orphanage? What if she went to another foster home? How would that have played out? Would he have broken in there and killed a bunch of kids, or killed a different family? Because you got to remember, one good thing about the Carruthers family is you had Rachel Carruthers, who turned out to be a great final girl. And she was strong, she was smart, she thought on her feet, and she saved Jamie, protected her. What if it was a different family and the girl and they didn't give a shit about it? Oh, here, take her. Just don't kill me. What if? My number 3. Now, the night plays out because Rachel originally has plans to go on a date with Brady, and she gets all pissed off because why? because the babysitter, Susan, calls that morning during breakfast and says that she broke her ankle and she can't babysit. So here's my what if. Number 3, what if Susan did break her ankle? What if she came to babysit that night and Rachel ended up going out on a date with Brady? Now, would Susan have gotten killed? How would that have played out? Because you figured now, we don't even know who the Susan person is. Was she a strong person that would have protected Jamie? Or would have just easily got killed and Jamie would have ran and searched for Rachel and tried to have her protect her? What if she didn't get stuck babysitting? My number 4. So in the beginning, you see Jamie at school and you see all these bastard kids breaking her balls. You know, Jamie's uncle's the boogeyman. You're an orphan because your mommy's dead. Bunch of son of a bitch kids. What a bunch of assholes. And where's your costume? And it's always Halloween because Jamie's uncle's the boogeyman. So she didn't have a costume on. She wanted nothing to do with Halloween. And then later on, she has a change of heart when she's talking to Rachel saying, I want to get a costume. Well, Rachel brings it up to her, like, don't you want to go trick-or-treating? We can go get a costume. We can go to the discount mart, or we can go get ice cream. So she decides, okay, I'll go trick-or-treating. And she ends up getting the clown costume. What if she didn't want to go trick-or-treating because she was still upset about all the kids being assholes? How would that have worked out? They would have stayed in the house, and they would have done more of it. Because none of the Myers battles took place in the Carruthers house. It all took place at the Meeker house. How would it have played out at the Carruthers house? Could Michael have been there and chasing them and the parents came home? How everything could have changed if she decided not to trick-or-treat. They wouldn't have been out on the streets. There would have been no chase scene there, meeting up with Dr. Loomis. So it would have played out a little bit differently. My number 5, one of the most famous lines from this movie. You flash to the discount mart when Rachel takes Jamie to the discount mart to go get a mask, and then she's going to have a conversation with Brady. But right before that, Brady's sitting there with his friends, and he dares Wade to go up to Kelly and ask her out. He says, I'll bet you $10, she turns you down. And they were trying to encourage Brady to do it, but Wade's like, her daddy don't scare me. I'll go ask her. And what happens? She walks up to him, and she said, before he even says anything, she goes, fuck off, Wade.
Fuck off, Wade.
What if she didn't say fuck off Wade? What if she was attracted to him and went out with him? Wade would have got some. Brady, there would have been no issues with Brady and Rachel. So that whole chase scene would have unfolded differently had she come up to Kelly's house, because they could have been trick-or-treating. Brady might have even come to the house and trick-or-treated with her and Jamie. How that could have played out. And then when they showed up at Kelly's house and she comes out with the cops do it by the book shirt, and meanwhile she was in there banging Wade. Could have been different. My number 6, our beloved Dr. Loomis. So after he leaves, once he sees the carnage that of the overturned ambulance, once it's found, and he knows Myers did all this shit, he was expecting all this. So he leaves, ends up at the Penny's gas station and garage and restaurant there. And of course the whole scene plays out where Michael is in the bandages, kills the mechanic, kills the girl in the restaurant, and he has the showdown, his first face-to-face in 10 years with Myers. Don't go to Haddonfield. You want to know the victim? Take me. And of course it plays out where he shoots and Myers gets away. He takes the tow truck and drives to Haddonfield. Now, of course, the whole scene plays out where the gas station explodes. And of course, his car gets destroyed on top of it. So doesn't have a way to get to Haddonfield. And then you see that convertible car with those kids and the cheerleaders, like the high school kids. And they like, oh yeah, we'll pick him up. And they pull over and he's running, and then they just peel out and be a bunch of dicks. What if they picked him up? How would it have played out? Would they have chased Myers in the tow truck? Would they have gotten killed themselves? How would it have played out if they actually stopped and they weren't a bunch of assholes, picked up Dr. Loomis and drove him to town? How that conversation would have took place? And of course, we would have lost our beloved Jackson P. Sayers, because that's who picks him up instead. And for those that don't know, we do a Halloween novelization book club here, and we did finish the Halloween 4 novelization, and there was a lot more Reverend Sayer in the novelization. So go watch those episodes if you haven't read the novelization. It's actually pretty cool. Drop a link up here. Go check it out. So what if those kids picked up Loomis? How would it have played out? Number 7 involves our beloved Bucky. Now, we're big fans of Bucky on the show. We always joke about it. We want a Bucky figure. We're big collectors, and would have loved to have met the actor who has since passed on. So he's unfortunately no longer with us. We just get a kick out of the Bucky scene. Don't try that Halloween shit with me. So what if Myers ends up at the power plant and Bucky doesn't confront him? I mean, because you see a guy in a mask, an older gentleman in a mask and a jumpsuit. What's to say he didn't come up to him and confront them and get thrown into that panel box, which starts the whole shorting out of the power and knocks the power out to the town? Would Myers have still knocked the power out? How would he have knocked the power out? Would Bucky have gone for help and called the police and said, there's a guy in a mask running around the power plant? How would that have worked out? And then we would have still had our beloved Bucky. My number 8. Now, Deputy Logan is the other police officer who's helping out Meeker at Meeker's house when they all hunker down and lock themselves in Meeker's house to protect themselves. And he was originally left at the Carruthers' house to wait for the parents to come home. So after once Meeker realizes everything that went down at the police station where he killed everybody in the police station, and he reaches out to Deputy Logan and says, you know what? Get in your car and meet me at my house. So what we find out is while he was at the Carruthers' house, Michael snuck into the back seat and laid on the floor and to get a ride to Meeker's house. So you see that. So once he gets to Meeker's house, he backs into the driveway, goes inside. Meeker says, "You have your riot gun, your shotgun. Go outside and get it." So he goes outside, and the driver's side rear door is wide open. What if he investigated it? He knew he didn't leave the goddamn door open. Why wouldn't you have investigated that? There's a killer on the loose. You didn't leave that door open, and you come outside, that door was left open. Michael always did that. He always seemed to leave doors open just to piss people off, just so you'd find it. Just like, hey, come find me. Because he probably would have killed him because Michael was figuring a way into the house, which he did, which we never see how he got into the house, but he did get into the house. But what if he had looked into that and Ken went inside and said, hey, Ben, when I pulled in, all my doors were closed. I came outside and the back door was wide open. We should go outside and investigate. But he didn't. My number 9. Of course, we go back to the scene with Bucky where Myers knocks the power out to the town of Haddonfield. And in turn, before that, when the gas station explodes, they make note of making you see that he took down the phone line, so all the long distance lines are down. So he effectively crippled the town to take out his niece. Crazy shit, right? So now they go to the house, and then they go downstairs because he's got the two-way radio, and he's telling Loomis, yeah, I also was going to install a generator. I wish I had. I never got around to it. What if he had installed that generator? Because then the whole house would be lit up. Myers wouldn't have been hiding in the shadows. It would have been harder for him to creep around if they had power. Because the whole house would have been lit up. What if? And number 10, the climactic number 10 for Halloween 4. The classic surprise ending of Jamie Lloyd turning into a killer. Goes upstairs, stabs the mother with the scissors, and then that iconic scene which is at the top of the steps with the knife all bloody, and she's bloody because she just stabbed her foster mom. And Loomis sees it, goes batshit crazy because he's like, I don't want to go through this again. It's another one. What if Meeker didn't stop him in time and Loomis shot Jamie? May not have necessarily killed her, but he could have wounded her, and they could have arrested Loomis for trying to kill a little girl. What if Meeker didn't intervene and he shot Jamie? That would have been interesting. There you have. Those are just 10 what ifs in Halloween 4. There could be just tons more we could have used and thought up, but I figure just try to keep these to 10 to keep it to short videos, and I like to hear your what ifs. Do me a favor. Drop them in the comments below. Let me know some other what ifs that you thought of that would have been cool to see how scenes would have played out differently or the outcome of this film would have changed. Be sure to go check back the other videos I have, which is my what ifs for Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween 3. And next week, I'll be sure to drop my what ifs for Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Interesting entry in the franchise. Guilty pleasure, admittedly. So there you have it. So make sure, if you like this, hit that like button. Helps a brother out. Helps people find this channel. Go back and check out some of the other, if you're specifically Halloween, there's tons of Halloween shit on here. If you just search through this channel, you'll step in a lot of shit. There's a lot of Halloween stuff on here, music, movies, podcasting, and all sorts of other shit. Lots of me talking with my hands, because that's what us Italians do. If you like this content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Helps a brother out. Don't cost nothing. And check out some of the other content. And make sure you come back next week for another episode of What If Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Until then, I'll talk to you soon.